Good morning. Good morning. Cindy's here. Good morning, Cindy. Good to see you. All right, you see me, I don't see you. But that will change, right? In another month. Yeah. No, couple of months. Sorry. So good morning. And Bella, Cindy says good morning. Yes, she does. Yeah. Bella's not gonna stick around long because today, I need two hands, and holding Bella is not conducive to digitizing. So, what? Oh, Mashi's here. Good morning. And Barb, good morning. Good morning. So, what are we doing today? We are going to do double applique. Um, and I know I asked the question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? So we're going to kind of figure that out as far as double applique is concerned. Yeah, we're not birthing any chickens here. Uh, though I'm sure Bella wouldn't mind having, another friend to play with. So I'm going to put her down, say goodbye, bye bye. She's going to go to the groomers later and get her little toesies trimmed. There you go. Okay, so double applique. Double applique, at least from what I'm seeing, has had an upsurge lately. Um, mom, mom seems to be quite popular. Yeah, people are doing that whole mom across the front or grandma, and then they're putting names on the sleeves of, say, all the children or all the grandchildren. Yeah. So, how do they do that? Double applique. Well, we're going to focus on the letter M, um, chasing the cat. The letter M, uh, because once you know how to do it for even a single letter, you know how to do it for the whole piece. So let me drop this, and we're actually going to. I would need extra long sleeves, Cindy. I bet you know those concert T-shirts that have on the back of them columns and columns and columns of all the locations that they have done performed concerts in. You could do that. You could fill up the back of a sweatshirt. Who have we got here? Carrie Lewis. Well, hello and welcome from Indiana. So, Carrie, I don't think I've seen your name here before, and if I have, please forgive me. I'd call it old age brain. Um, we keep things pretty casual around here. If you have any questions, just pop it out there. We're going to talk about double applique today. Um, I am not a teacher. You know, I don't have a formal education in formal education. I'm not a videographer, which means that, I might slip up on my video. Like I said, we keep things pretty casual around here. I mean, heck, look at my background. It's kind of incomplete and bare right now. Yeah, I was just noticing that. Sorry. Don't look over here. Okay, so thank you, Cindy. Instructor. Thank you, Cindy. Okay, so double applique. We're going to learn how to do a double applique for the letter M. Um, I want to talk to you about a couple of different techniques. The first one is called a raw edge applique. And what that means is your applique fabric, the edge is not covered with a stitch. So you actually see the raw edge. And then after washing, it gets all kind of frayed and fuzzy looking. It's actually kind of really a great little technique. Um, See, I told you we keep things casual, Carrie. I forgot to bring my fabric. Because the one thing I wanted to tell you to stress is when you're doing, hey, Frank, yay. And that's another thing, Carrie. I have a tendency to bounce over and say hey to everybody. So, anyways, the thing about raw edge applique is your fabric, and for the most part, we use like a woven cotton polyester, quilters quality fabric, and it's woven. It's not knitted, and the thread weaves. It. I don't have my fabric. Um, so anyways, what happens is if you start pulling threads off the edge, it gets a little fuzzy. Well, in raw edge applique, if you lay the fabric with the grain, meaning the lines, the weave goes horizontal and vertical, you get a different look, a more fringy look, depending on your fabric. Or if you tilt it 45 degrees so that your weave of your fabric is going at angles, you'll get a more stuttery look, which I happen to like. So that's what I wanted to tell you about your fabric for raw edge applique is experiment and see which way you like it, which way you want those frays to be. Okay, so set that off to the side there and pop up here. Raw edge applique. Raw edge applique is a tack down, or I'm sorry, a placement stitch, a tack down stitch, and a cut line. And in double applique, you need to double that. You need two placement stitches, two tack down stitches. And your tack down stitch for raw edge applique needs to be a stronger stitch because remember that is your final stitch. You're not covering those raw edges. So you need to make sure that your tack down stitch is a good strong stitch. And then you have your cut line. Where are you going to cut the fabric? Now, you don't necessarily need to actually show the cut line. Hold on. And hide. You don't need to show the cut line, but you are going to need to know where your placement stitch is and your tack down stitch. Okay. So here comes our the answer to our chicken and egg question. Which is going to come first? Are you going to? Yes, Barb, exactly. Uh, where'd my mouse go? There it is. There it is. Kind of the same technique for twill lettering. Yes, it is. Twill lettering is an applique technique. It is a double applique technique. Um, the thing with twill lettering is that it uses a zigzag on the edge versus just a straight line. Okay, and its edge is not raw in the sense that there's not a stitch that covers it. That zigzag stitch does cover it. And here we're actually, let me pull this one back, open, unhide. And this one is actually going to have a cut line that is exposed. Okay. Oh, hide again, people. Kitty, get your tail off the camera. Um, so which came first? In double applique, that question applies to the layering of your fabric. If you, for example, and we're going to make a really rough drawing here. You ready? That was a rough drawing. All right, let's get rid of that. Let's go back. Okay, we're going to try this again. What are you cutting? You're cutting the fabric. Hold on just a second, Cindy. Is this a t-shirt or what? All right. So, on your t-shirt, are you going to applique your your bottom layer fabric first, and then applique your second layer fabric? And the reason that becomes an important question is if you turn over your project and you look on the inside, you'll have two sets of lines. All right, on the inside. And some people may not like that. Maybe they don't want to have all that back thread on the inside of their shirt. So how do you do that? Well, you create your applique separately, and then you come back and apply it to the shirt. That would require an additional placement line so you know where to put your applique. And you would not cut it, you would not cut your raw edges until after everything is on the shirt. All right. But doing it that way, yes, Cindy, like a patch. To do it with only one stitch line on the shirt, you would create your applique piece separately, like a patch, but you do not cut your raw edges until you get it over onto the shirt. Does that make sense? Does everybody have that? And going back to Cindy's other question, what are you cutting? Are you laying the square of fabric down and then cutting it to shape? Yes. Okay. So I have my square of fabric. That's my square fabric. And I guess I should change its color, huh? So you can see. And then once my square fabric is done, once my applique is on the shirt, I'm going to come back and cut it out, cut on my cut line. My cut line is about 1/4 of an inch. You're not actually putting drawing a physical line on the fabric. You're just going to take your scissors and cut around it. Okay, so again, you can do both of these in a separate hooping and then bring it over to the shirt. Lay a placement line so you know where to place your lettering on the shirt. And then you will do a final tack down line, which again is a heavier line of stitching so that it stays on the shirt. Now that I've explained the concept, let's put it in practice. I'm no good at making M's. So what do? I start out with an M that's already in my lettering software. Yeah, I just put it in there and I make it as big as I want it. And you can see that this is not a good looking M. But I'm going to break it apart down into its individual components. And then I'm going to convert it to a tatami stitch, a fill stitch. And I'm going to draw it up to make sure that I have good overlapping, because ultimately Do, do, do. Ultimately, I'm going to take all of this and weld it together. All right. Now, if your software, hello, Facebook user, Facebook user, who is it? Trying to think. All right, we'll figure it out. But going back to this M, if your software does not have features to where you can break it apart and weld it back together, you can simply use it as an outline to create your lines. Let's see, let's use yellow. And we're just going to make lines. And you just follow the outline of your M. Of course, we're doing a kind of a rough job here. You keep seeing Carly walking back and forth in front of me. She's wanting a little attention today. Oh, she's given up. She's wanting a little attention. She doesn't ask for it often. And I feel terrible when I have to basically ignore her and tell her no. That's supposed to be a line. All right, so there's my M. Ta-da! Yes, you can, Cindy. Cindy wants to know if we can use offset borders. Why, yes, yes, we can. In fact, but if your software doesn't have that, you're going to draw out your letter M. And then this is our placement stitch now. And if we copy that, that is now our tap down, right? And it's going to be a heavier stitch because we want to make sure that it stays forever. And now, wait a minute. I'm going to group these together. So how do I get an offset if I don't have offsets? Well, if I take this and increase it from 100%, which is what it actually is right now. Oh, hold on. I need to duplicate the whole thing. And I take my duplicate and I increase it. Oh, let's say 30%. Not quite what I had in mind. And center everything. Oh, come along now. Come along, little doggy. Oh, not quite what I had in mind. If we go like this. And like this. Yeah, that's going to take a little extra fussing. Okay, I confess, I am one of those people that's dependent on the features of my software. I truly am. I truly am. I take this, duplicate it, fill it in. Change my offset amount. Get rid of that. Yeah, now I have my offset. Forgive me. I'm sorry. But it can be done. Oh, I just remembered how I used to do it. You ready? Okay. So I take this, I take one of the lines and I change it to a satin column. Then I take my satin column and I make that so much larger. Let's make it an 8. because an 8 millimeter satin column is 4 millimeters from center to edge. And now, just like before, I can do my outline. All right, I'm slow. And this is really sloppy. You know, as a digitizer, I try to be a little more precise. And then get rid of that one. There we go. Ta-da! Double ta-da! Double, double ta-da! All right, so that's how I made my offset. I converted one of the lines to a satin column. I made that satin column twice as wide as what I want my offset to be. And then I drew around the edge. This was back before I had the sophisticated software. Okay, so that's basically all there is to creating a double applique for raw edge. Any questions? I'll keep an eye. We're going to go on to a covered applique. Gary, this is where the coffee part of coffee and conversation comes into play, just in case you were wondering. Okay, so that was raw edge. Yes, I do, Cindy. I do. Um, Cindy is saying that I have to think about all the tricks to work around the software because not everybody has this software. Let me go back for just a moment. I don't want to software shame anybody. Every digitizing software will do this. Okay? If your software will allow you to create a running stitch, a fill stitch, you fill the area, and a satin stitch, you can do all of this. Everything else is gravy in the software. The only thing you need those 3 stitches, and you need how to know how to use them. You need to know how to use your running stitch. If you need it to be a double run or a triple run, you just repeat it. Run, 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 triple run. If you have an area that needs to be filled, you just create that area and you fill it in. No software shaming here. Every software can do all of this. It's just a matter of knowing how to do it. And that's where your understanding of how the software works will help you determine the pathing and how you want to make something um, in your software. My software happens to have a lot of features, which because I digitize pretty much every day, all day, it's nice to have those features so that I can get more done. Cindy wants to know if I have a sew out sample. I don't. Cindy, I've been working on I've been working on my presentation stuff for my everything embroidery market event. So that's been my focus this week. Uh, I, I've had machines have been busy all week, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Okay, so done with the software. Done with the raw edge application or applique. We're going to bounce over to double applique with fabric or vinyl. Now, let me bounce back for just a second. You can use vinyl in your raw edge applique. I don't I don't care for it much because when you tear the vinyl away, it leaves little jagged bits of vinyl. Think of perforated paper. Remember when you were in high school and you had your spiral notebook and it was perforated paper and you tore the paper out of the spiral and left that little edge in the spiral, but it had all those little bits? That's what that's the perforation. Oh, we have hey Drake. Hello. Welcome. Glad to see you here. Um wow, and I thought going to Long Beach from Chicago was far. Okay. So, anyways, I don't care to use vinyl for raw edge applique because it leaves us that perforation, those little tear bits. Um, so I always use uh, a cover stitch with my applique when I'm using vinyl. And just like our other M, we're going to have a placement stitch and a tack down stitch, and then we're going to have a cover stitch. Now you can use just a satin stitch. Or like Barb had suggested earlier, let me get that stitch. Come along now, little doggy. Get rid of the underlay. And of course, right now it's got line work in it, but where is it? Just move your start and stop and then we'll get rid of that. There you go. I mean, by moving my start and stop, I got rid of the travel stitch that was trying to get back to that stop area. If I put this over here, see it's got a travel, but we'll get rid of that. Okay. Ooh, Cindy. Cindy's experimenting. She says she just got some different Caesar vinyls to do some applique with. Yeah, I like it. So, remember way back at the beginning we talked about that chicken and egg thing? Same thing here. Only whichever one you want to do first. If you are going to create your applique like a patch, remember we talked about that earlier. Let me change that back to the satin. You're going to create your inner applique. I'm sorry. You're going to create your outer applique to the point where you've done your placement stitch, so you know where to lay your fabric, and your tack down stitch so that the fabric is secure. And then with this method, you're going to trim that excess fabric. Then you're going to lay in your center fabric, placement stitch, tack down stitch, trim, and you're going to do your cover stitch. Do not do the cover stitch on the outside edge. You're going to need that when you go over to your shirt. But do the cover stitch on your inside piece. Then once you get it over to the shirt, you'll do a placement stitch and a tack down stitch, and then your cover stitch. Or you can do everything directly on the shirt. Your choice. Chicken before or chicken after. What does Carrie got here? Carrie says, when you are using fabric for applique and have to cut it manually, what is the best pair of scissors to use? Ginger duckbills are really good. However, they're really big. If you if you are trying to trim your fabric in hoop. And remember, when you're doing embroidery, they always suggest you use the smallest hoop available for your project because you want that stability, you want that support. So I find that as beautiful as those scissors are, and they are, they're too big. They're too, even the double curve, it's not doubled enough to get close to the edge of that hoop. So, Carrie, what I'm going to do for you, and you'll look for it in the comments section of the YouTube page, I am going to put a link to two pairs of scissors that I use for applique. One is it's a 4-inch double bill, or excuse me, double curved duck bill scissor. And the other one is the same type of scissor with a rounded edge and no duck bill. The little nippers, yes, Cindy, the little nippers do work. The little nippers work great. Lots of nipping though. Work great. Lots of nipping. Um, but Carrie, I will put a link in the comments for two links for scissors that I love because they do get down into that hoop. Let's see, what did Cindy say here? I know this question is a whole new lesson, but what about fabric prep, stability on some fabrics? It is actually we're already over, so let's just take another minute. Fabric prep. I like using, and again, Cindy, I'll put a link in the comments on YouTube. Ah, I wish I could remember. It's like an angel hair stitch witchery product. Very, very light. Raw. Oh, for the raw edge. Yeah, that gets a little trickier. Um, yeah, I don't know that I would suggest this. Raw edge, starch. Use starch. If you take your fabric and you press it, be heavy on the starch, it'll be stiff and hold its stability. And of course, you need to wash that starch out and you'll get your fraying on your edges. Um, but if you need that fabric for your raw edge to be stiff so that it stays in place so that it doesn't bunch up in the hoop, I use starch. In fact, I use Stay Flow. It's usually on the bottom shelf at my local grocer in their laundry section, and it comes in a half-gallon bottle, and you mix it yourself. Um, and yes, Cindy, a lot of that's going to depend on what your outcome is, what look you're going for. Okay, so that's what I've got on double applique. If I've missed anything, if you have any additional questions, send me a message, send me a uh, an email, or send me through Messenger, um, however you want. That I'll get back to you. The I want to tell you about next week. I had a question on how to match the arch on a back of a hat. So we're going to do that. Now, keep in mind, this is not a one size fits all. Every hat has a different arch, I swear. But I'm going to show you how to do that. So next week, we're going to do an arch on the back of a hat. Yeah. All right. Again, if you have any questions, just give me a holler. I'm going to Everything Embroidery Market next month. Going to teach a couple of classes. Hope to see you there. And I think I'm going to say goodbye now. Let's see. You are very, very welcome.
Wasn't that fun? Do you have more questions? Do you want to learn something new? Join me at quicktostitch.com for coffee and conversation, and we'll talk about it. Embroidery machines, designs, and business. Hope to see you soon. Bye now.